Hey, darlings. Sergey left the office. The tall building, shining in the sun with glass walls. Stylish, luxurious, noticeable from afar. Here is the administration of the oil and gas company. Sergey heads the sales department of this large, flourishing company. Responsible position, salary is appropriate. The man pressed the button on the keychain. The alarm went off. In the parking lot in front of the porch, a new SUV from the salon was briefly turned off. Another car of Sergey. Now he could afford many of the things he never dreamed of before. Life was successful. In terms of personal life, Sergey also had everything more than wonderful. A loving, understanding wife. Quiet and calm. Marina never made him suffer scandals. She never brought out her brain. It didn't require much, like many of Sergey's friends' spouses. Their spacious house was always clean and smelled of delicious home food. Marina was a teacher and a head teacher, and she was always on time at home. It was nice to come back to a clean and cozy home after a hard day. The children were happy with their success. Daughters, son, Irina and Matvey, the weather. They were having fun, turning the house upside down. There were toys everywhere. The surfaces were covered with the fingerprints of the little ones. And these sleepless nights, you'll remember, you'll shiver. However, Marina always took on the lion's share of care for her son and daughter. Sergey understood and valued this. It gave him the opportunity to develop and grow. Thanks to the support of his wife, he received a second education. The man often brought home reports from work, and then the wife took the children for a walk, so that they wouldn't disturb the father. Both did everything for the sake of the family, for the sake of their common well-being. The wife believed that Sergey would be able to become a big man, and she was not mistaken. So it happened. Now, Irina and Matvey were almost adults. Both studied at the Moscow State University, only at different faculties. By the time the children finished school, Sergey could afford to pay them for a decent education and living in the capital. The daughter and son were lucky in this regard. Not that they and Marina were in their years. They then studied and worked hard, and then combined all this with taking care of the babies. It was a hard time, but they stood, overcome everything. Some moments now even remembered, with nostalgia. Yes, they lived poor and hard, but they were still happy because they were together. For Marina's sake, in those days, Sergey was ready to go to the mountains to turn. In some sense, that's what he did. If someone had told the man that in many years he would have a lover, he would not have believed. Why would he need someone else if she was next to him? Marina. Sergey was in love with a beautiful classmate from school. But at that time, the modest boy had to watch from afar for the most beautiful girl on earth. Who was he and who was she? The quiet, unnoticed botanist could not claim to be one of the most popular girls in school. There were always fans around Marina, confident in themselves, who knew exactly how to communicate with girls, and didn't blush every time Marina talked to them. But Sergey not only blushed, but also choked. Thoughts got confused. He just stood there and clapped his eyes in response to Marina's request to write a house. The classmates often addressed Sergey for this. They knew that Botanic was always ready for the lesson. Sergey learned only perfectly, and he was given it easily. The boy liked to get new knowledge, and his special love was precise science, physics, algebra, geometry. The boy was sincerely surprised when one of the classmates could not cope with the board with an elementary task in his opinion. By the senior class, Sergey realized that the majority was much smarter, but did not know. On the contrary, he even felt a little sorry for the classmates, whose understanding of such simple things was not available. The feelings for Marina only got stronger over time. Sergey liked everything about her. Beautiful chestnut hair, kind, turquoise, green eyes, sharp figure, a smile. Even the spring, with a slightly wrinkled nose. It was an extraordinary girl. Calm, benevolent, natural. The classmates tried to stand out for what they were good at. Bright clothes, loud makeup. Marina didn't need anything to be the best. She was different from other peers in her kindness and modesty. In the senior year, Marina started dating Robert, the class leader, the son of wealthy parents, athlete, all-round lover, a fit body, a great sense of humor, a crazy charisma. On the graduation day, the girl was recognized as the queen of the ball. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible. Sergei looked at Marina all evening. She was wearing a light pink dress, a shade of tan, and a beautiful, round-shaped figure. Perfection. The girl sometimes noticed the pristine look of the shy classmate and smiled. Warm, gentle smile, a bright face with a special light. The other one would have snorted her nose or started to flirt, but not Marina. Sergei then thought that for the last time, he was next to the object of his admiration. Then they would enter different universities, and if they would meet, it was only by chance, and very rarely. Therefore, the guy enjoyed these minutes when Marina was, although not with him, but nearby. He tried to capture in his memory her joyful face, kind eyes, an amazing turquoise tint, a gentle voice. Robert was always somewhere nearby. Sergei, of course, wanted to hope that for him Marina was just another hobby and that the couple would break up soon after graduation. But Robert looked at the girl with his eyes in love, gently held her hand, and she bloomed next to him. It was clear that Marina enjoyed the community and attention of Robert. Between them was love, understanding, and harmony. After graduation, Sergei entered the Polytechnic University for engineering. A tense study began, in which the guy got into trouble. It distracted him from the sad thoughts about Marina. It was a long time. Of course, in his life there were long-lasting romance, but he didn't experience anything like the feelings that Marina caused. He tried not to think about her. Why? Marina was probably already married to Robert, maybe even became a mother. And still, Sergei looked for her in the streets, in the corridors of the university, in the buses. Sometimes he met a familiar silhouette, a sharp figure, a hazy skin, shining chestnut hair falling below his shoulders. At first, Sergei's heart froze, and then it began to beat in an accelerated rhythm. But it always turned out to be not her, not Marina, and disappointment came. When Sergei was already studying in the 4th year, their group in voluntary and forced order, sent to some premiere to a drama theater for the masses. The city administration needed a full hall for some reason. Having been there, Sergei realized that most of the people present felt that they were not here by their own will. It was mostly young people, clearly students and school children. Several rows were even taken by guys in camouflage, most likely soldiers from the nearest unit. Forced culture. The group was summed up by Sergei Pashko, who was walking around the hall. "I hate the theater," Sergei said, and it was the only truth. Mom tried to show him and his younger sister love for beauty. On weekends, she often took them to children's shows. Sergei, dressed in a tough white shirt, was desperately bored, like his sister. Both would have a great time at the amusement parks or at the cinema. When he grew older, Sergei avoided going to the theater. He was in the walls of this building for the first time in about years. The guy stood in his place and looked around again. A few minutes before the show began. How many people? And most of them, apparently, would have enjoyed spending this evening in a completely different place. And suddenly, Sergei didn't believe his eyes at first. On one of the far rows, the boy noticed her. Marina. She was sitting surrounded by friends. The girls, alive, were talking about something and laughing. Marina still looked amazing, almost unchanged since the day of the graduation. The same hairstyle, the same blinding smile. Sergei as if covered with a warm wave. He stood up from his seat and went to her. They were looking for him. The boy stepped on someone's foot. It didn't matter at all. Sergei went to Marina, not even realizing what she would say. "Hello," said the boy, looking at his former classmate. For a moment, she looked into his face. Then the girl's eyes were filled with recognition. Ah, Sergey. She smiled. Did you also get driven here? It was so nice to hear the boy's name from her mouth. It gave him confidence. You look amazing, he said, the first thing that came to mind. Maybe not very appropriate, but sincere. Thank you. And you? You have changed somehow. Have you grown up? I hardly recognized you. Sergey really was no longer the sharp, shy teenager who was even shy to talk to his beloved girl. He got stronger, became more confident in himself, learned to dress stylishly. And they also visited the gym with Pasha for 6 months. So now Sergey could boast of tight muscles, noticeable even under the t-shirt. The girls paid attention to him, not as before. Even Marina looked at him differently now. She was clearly interested in him. The backstage began to slowly disperse. The performance began. Let's run away from here. Suddenly, Sergey suggested. Words flew out of his mouth before he had time to think about them. What a stupid, inappropriate suggestion. Marina will now have to think about how to tactically refuse him. Come on. The girl smiled happily. I can't stand the theater. Sergey felt like the happiest person on earth. That evening they walked around the city for a long time. They ate ice cream, fed pigeons with seeds, rode on the carousels. The weather was amazing. Mid-May. Warm, but not as hot and dusty as in summer. In the air, During the whole time of school, they didn't say so many words to each other as in that evening. Why didn't we be friends in school? Marina was sincerely surprised. It's so good and fun with you. I was a botanist then. Maybe that's why. By the way, that's why I respected you, for your mind. I wanted to be like you then, to understand all these formulas and graphs, but apparently it was not given. Sergey could not believe his ears. It turns out that Marina not only noticed him, but also respected him. Wow. It turned out that the popular girl does not pay attention to boring botanicals at all. Marina and Sergey were sitting on a bench in the grove. It was already twilight. Music was heard from the embankment. Summer cafes started their work. People who decided to walk in May evening, near the river, were walking by the endless stream. It's not surprising. The weather is just a fairy tale. Young people are already a little tired of walking and impressions. It seems they walked hundreds of kilometers, no less. Both legs were shaking, but it was a very pleasant exhaustion. It was clear that they didn't want to go to the houses of neither a boy nor a girl. And finally, Sergey decided to talk about what was bothering him, about Marina's personal life. And you and Robert meet like this? Robert? Marina sighed and immediately got sad. Nothing worked out between us and Robert. It turned out that after school Robert and Marina met for another 2 years, but their relationship was no longer as pure and sincere as in the senior classes. Now young people studied in different places. Both had new friends and interests. The handsome Robert quickly became a star of the course. Now there were fans around him, and the guy did not pass this test. From his mutual acquaintances, Marina began to learn that Robert was seen in one place, and in another place with different girls. At the same time, he told her that he was preparing for exams or was ill, and therefore could not go out with her. At first, Marina did not believe. She loved Robert, she valued his first love and was strong, as she thought back then, in relationships. She even thought that her friends and envy were making up stories about her boyfriend. But one day she saw how he hugged and kissed a red-haired beauty in the mall. Well, what's wrong? Robert shook his shoulders when Marina pushed him to the wall. We are free people. We have no obligations. I'm not ready for anything serious yet. Let's break up if you're against freedom in relationships. I went through it so hard, Marina admitted, looking at Sergey in the eyes. For me, our relationships were for everyone, and he, it turns out, did not give them such a meaning. It's strange. All these years, it seemed to me that Robert loves me. Sergei could not understand Robert. What kind of a fool should you be to miss such happiness? After the Frank story, Marina looked sad and a little confused. It was clear that the memories of that situation still hurt her. I'm so sorry, Sergei squeezed himself out. He never knew how to calm people down and didn't know what else to say now. But in fact, he was not sorry. Yes, Sergei was angry at Robert for hurting Marina. But he was happy too, because Marina is free now, probably. And that means he has a chance. And now? Do you have someone now? Sergei's heart beat faster. A lot depended on the answer. No, the girl's head shook negatively. I haven't left Robert's betrayal yet. Now it seems to me that all men are the same as him. Not all, said Sergei. I would never have done that to you. Then the guy was sincerely sure in his words. But after years, Sergei repeated Robert's actions. True, by that time he no longer considered it betrayal. You are so good. Suddenly Marina said, looking into Sergei's eyes. I feel easy and calm with you. I've never felt so peaceful. I wonder why. I know the answer to this question, said Sergei. It's because I love you. I've loved you for a long time, since the ditch grade. I've been thinking and dreaming about you all these years. I guess it's felt. That's why you feel so close to me. I don't even know. Can you love stronger? Marina looked shocked. I don't even know what to do with this information. Finally, the girl said, I'm very pleased and don't want to part with you. Since then they have not parted. Sergei could not believe his happiness. Marina, the girl of his dreams, was now next to him. They walked, laughed. It turned out that there was a lot in common between them. For example, both love animals. Young people even worked as volunteers in a shelter for homeless cats and dogs for some time. Next to Marina, Sergei felt strong and almost omnipotent. For the sake of his beloved boyfriend, he found a job, became an assistant to a master in a construction company. It was not easy to combine work and study, but Sergei's money was always being spent on for Marina's entertainment and gifts. And he really wanted to make her happy, to delight, to entertain. The girl was proud of the purposeful guy and repeatedly admitted that she was glad to meet them at the theater. Can you imagine? But that could not have happened, she said. Such an amazing coincidence. I would still find you, said Sergei. Not there, but in another place. I was constantly thinking about you, about material thoughts, so it was inevitable. The guy really believed so. And then an unexpected, but very joyful event happened. Once Marina, very worried, told the guy that the child was waiting. Sergei even heard it in his ears. He was overwhelmed by an incredible emotion. He will become a father. It's just wonderful. This is incredible happiness. The boy exhaled and hugged Marina tightly. I thought you were scared. I was scared too. The girl admitted a little later. Stupidity. I'm very happy. I didn't even see another option for myself. I really thought it would happen later, but it's even better. We will be young parents. It's cool. Parents on both sides were not too pleased with the news of the rapid replenishment, but they did not try to convince the young people. They helped to play the wedding, and even a little money for the living facilities were thrown away. The young wives began to live in the empty apartment of grandmother Sergei. The old woman was taken to her parents. It was a cramped room with a single room and a tiny kitchen, creaking wooden floors, thin walls, rumbling pipes, dried frames. The old brick two-story building was located on the outskirts of the city, next to the railway, where electricians were passing by with loud rumbling. But the spouses felt happy here. They built their nest with love. They glued the wallpaper, painted the floors, purchased some furniture. Sergei was still poor, and he couldn't make much money. He wanted to drop out of school to find a higher-paid job, but Marina refused him. You're only a year before graduation. We'll have to wait and see. She convinced her husband. Don't overstate your fate, your career. You'll regret it later. The daughter was born in time. A healthy, strong girl. Sergei was proud of being a father. For the first time, seeing the baby in the maternity hospital, the young father did not hold back his tears, which touched the hospital staff. Yes, it was not an easy time, although happy too. There were also sleepless nights added to existing worries and problems. Young spouses studied, worked, cared for the baby. They did not have a single free minute at that time. By the evening, both of them were exhausted. It would seem that the news of the new pregnancy of the husband under such circumstances should have caused Sergei negative emotions. But he felt joy again. I don't even know what to do, Marina admitted confusedly. Where are we going now? One more baby. But it seems I already love him. What to do? What to do? Not maliciously teased the husband of Sergei. Of course to celebrate. What else? We got along with Irina, and now the situation is much better. We finished our studies. I will find a job better now. You will be in a decency with your kids. Everything is going well, I think. It seems to me that everything is easy and simple next to you. Marina smiled. That's right, Sergei said. Everything is really easy and simple. Matvey was born. 2 kids, new job, no money. The burden of responsibility was pressing on Sergei with a weak leg. Sometimes it seemed to him that he would not cope. But before his wife, the man did not show his feelings. He saw that it was not easy. Marina tried not to burden her husband with the care of the children, but Sergei, when he was at home, tried to help her in everything. She was completely down. Dark circles appeared under her eyes. Only the shadow remained of the former beauty. It's strange, but that's why Sergei loved Marina even more. She did so much for their family, so lucky on her fragile shoulders, and never complained. She also always tried to feed him something delicious. Sergei valued her care very much and tried not to stay in debt. When there was an opportunity, he took the children and went for a few hours with them, so that his wife could rest a little. That's how they lived. They solved many problems. They worked hard. They tried to take care of each other. Over time, things got easier. The children went to the garden. Marina went to work. She became a teacher of the elementary school. Sergei and his company were doing better and better. The family didn't save on the necessary. They didn't get into a fight, of course, but they could afford beautiful clothes and delicious food. Even for a vacation to the sea, they began to travel every year. Further, more. Sergei, as a talented specialist, was invited to work at an oil and gas company. There he quickly began to move along the career ladder and gradually grew to the head of the production department. The family had long lived not in an old grandmother's apartment, but in a large, stylish mansion in a prestigious foreign village. Sometimes Sergei couldn't believe that they did so well. Irina and Timofey were sent to school in the city university. The children were worthy of it. Marina did a lot of self-rearing. She developed their talents, taught and helped with the lessons. The result was beyond all expectations. Both graduated with gold medals. The children are almost grown-ups. They have enough money. Time is free, even if you add it up. The golden time has come when you can breathe, relax, and live in your own pleasure. Sergei still loved his wife very much, but he began to notice her shortcomings. She became full of it. The first wrinkles appeared on her face, disappearing for days in his school, only talking about her and saying, not like before, when they could talk for hours about interesting topics, joke, laugh. Probably this old age is being stolen. It should be so, most likely. He is not a boy anymore. He has a breath, and his belly has grown. We should check with a cardiologist just in case, and sign up for the gym. The head of the department should look like this. And then in the office, she appeared. The new employee of the Department of Personnel, Elena. A young girl who has just graduated from university. She is well-built, big eyes, funny and energetic. Like a girl from the cover of a magazine. Always stylish, dressed, well-groomed, with manicure and makeup. Fresh, charming, and how she looked at him, at Sergei, as if she were a goddess. So much respect and sympathy shone in the eyes of the young worker. It was pleasant. Sergei often looked at Elena from afar. He looked out the window as she walked into the dining room with the workers. He looked out at her in the crowded corridors. So graceful, so elegant, like a ballerina. Later it turned out that the man was not far from the truth. Elena had been dancing ball for many years. She even went abroad with tours. That's how she became a. Hiding her eyes from embarrassment, the girl admitted. But who are you and who am I? Elena, you're a real beauty, and you know it. Sergei couldn't hold himself back anymore. Any man would be happy to be next to such a. And I too. Let's go to my place, Elena suggested. I rent an apartment not far from here. Sergei hesitated. What about Marina? She didn't deserve such betrayal. But on the other hand, the stories of friends and colleagues about the intrigues on the side were immediately remembered. Many live like that in nothing. In the end, he deserved this happiness, earned a long and hard labor. And the wife? Well, what is the wife? There is no love and passion between them for a long time, as before. Marina is completely immersed in her work. It seems that she is nothing but a school and is not even interested. Besides, he's not going to leave his wife, to leave the family. It's going to be a little fun. Who's worse than that? Having calmed down, Sergei went to Elena. That's how he got a young lover. Life played with new colors. Next to Elena, Sergei felt young, strong, and energetic again. From one thought about the upcoming meeting with a young colleague, the mood was rising. They were hiding in the office. No one was supposed to guess that there was something between them, although, of course, over time, rumors still spread. The need to hide from colleagues gave the relationship a special sharpness. It was like an exciting adventure. Marina was in the dark. There was nothing unusual about it. He often had to stay in the office, go out on weekends, and travel on business trips. His wife wasn't particularly interested in Sergei's work. She liked to talk about her own life. The man was already confused by her story about his students. But Elena was giving Sergei all her attention. She listened to him carefully. She was giving him a good slap. She agreed with everything. The man bloomed with her. Of course, he didn't stay in debt. He was playing with his young beauty, giving her gifts, paying for the rent, sending her to rest at the sea. It turned out that being a patron was very pleasant, especially if it was a young girl with a flawless figure. Sergei tried not to mention that Elena was only a little older than his daughter. What's the difference? The main thing is that they get along well. Sometimes a man thinks about how he successfully arranged everything in his life. He has a faithful wife, companion, and reliable shoulder. There are wonderful children, almost independent, smart, educated, purposeful. And there is Elena, a girl with whom you can feel young and strong. What else can you dream about? However, Alyona has been complaining more and more that she lacks him. All the holidays Sergei spends with his family, and she stays alone. And she is sad about it. The men didn't like these calls. It seems that the end will soon come with a hopeless relationship. Alyona hints that it would be good to move to a new level. I dream of falling asleep and waking up with you, said the girl, and walk around the crowded places without fear of being knocked over. Sergei pretended not to understand what the girl was leaning towards. He didn't want to change anything. But if this continues, well, then we'll have to stop communicating with Elena. In the end, he won't have a hard time finding another girl to relax and rest. It's not difficult for him. Elena attracted Sergei with his youth and beauty, but he didn't have any strong feelings for her, and he wasn't going to change anything in his life because of her. Marina came home tired, with a headache. Today was a difficult day at school. The control room came to check on her. Everything went well. The children didn't get tired. They worked hard on their lessons, demonstrated excellent preparation. But the tension and anxiety had an impact on Marina's self-esteem in the worst way. The woman took a painkiller and lay on the couch. Her son and daughter studied in Moscow. Her husband was constantly late for work, so now she was alone at home. The silence of an empty mansion after the crowd of young people seemed a miracle and gave pleasure and peace. Marina, despite her headache, felt happy. Now, in their family life, a wonderful time has come. All the difficulties are behind. Children have grown up. Now they are adults and independent people. Marina and Sergey are still young. They don't have to save money. The husband is in charge of the head of the department of a large oil and gas company. Marina works not because of necessity, but for the sake of interest. She likes to teach kids, to communicate with colleagues, to be in the team every day. What can you do at home? Watch TV shows all day long, to paint nails. Sergey has often suggested that she leave her job and do her own thing. The woman couldn't even think about it seriously. To become one of these lazy idlers who lived in their prestigious village? No, thank you. That's not why Marina studied at the institute and gained experience. She liked the school and everything that was connected with it, and what pride she felt for her little students when they were successful. The younger students answered the teacher with love and respect, inspired by the idea. Sergey. Once he pulled her out after a painful break with Robert. Marina then could not come to her senses for a year and a half. She was in love with Robert by the year. She thought he was too. At least, the cute guy would compliment her every day. He swore loyalty, even hinted at a wedding. Marina didn't believe her friends who said they were meeting Robert with different girls. But one day she saw with her own eyes how her lover was hugging and kissing another one, with the same delighted eyes as she did. Of course, Marina made a scandal to Robert. She accused him of betrayal, called him with the last words. He heard her hysterics with strange calm. Periodically, something like a flash of light appeared on his face. You behave as if your own self is being hidden, the guy said, when Marina exhaled and kept silent. We are young, not associated with any circumstances. When else would I enjoy life if not now? But you said you loved it. Marina was confused by these words. It seemed to her that Robert would start to justify himself, try to come up with some explanation. But he behaved as if everything that had happened was normal. He said and did not lie. You are beautiful, smart, kind. Until some point it was easy. I really felt good with you. And now? And now? Now you're turning into an hysterical woman, trying to hold me back. No, it doesn't suit me. It's time for us to part. Good luck. That's so simple. They were a couple for almost 5 years, and Robert so easily overrides their relationship. At the same time, he called her an hysterical woman and blamed her for being obsessive. It feels like he doesn't feel guilty at all. It turns out that all these years he did not love her for real. Marina was having a hard time breaking up. From an energetic and cheerful girl, she turned into an insecure person. Marina could not trust anyone else, especially the boys. This state affected both her studies and her appearance. Her parents noticed that their daughter was not eating anything and literally melting in her eyes. They were worried, even wanted to put her in the hospital. Then Marina took control and started playing the role of a well-off student. The people around her calmed down, decided that everything was fine. But Marina's soul was still in a bad mood. Time passed, and Robert's pain did not subside. And then this random meeting with Sergey in the theater. Marina did not expect it herself, but next to the former classmate, she seemed to have melted. He made her laugh. Not on display, but sincerely, for real. Young people walked around the city, talked, discussed the most different topics. Marina didn't want to part with Sergey at all when the evening came, and she honestly admitted to him that. The guy was happy, his eyes shone. He told her words that would leave no one indifferent. It turned out that Sergey was in love with her from middle school. He was in love with her from afar. He wrote her notes, which later lacked the spirit to send. This confession made a strong impression on Marina. After Robert's actions, she considered all the boys traders and moneylenders. But for some reason, Sergei immediately believed. She felt sorry for the boy she didn't pay attention to at school. She wanted to make him happy, and she knew how. Marina and Sergei broke up on the day of the random meeting in the theater. The boy tried to turn every date into a holiday. He did everything to make Marina feel comfortable with him. The girl noticed and appreciated it. And she also compared Sergei and Robert. Against the background of the new fan, the former caretaker looked like a self-loving egoist. And why didn't Marina notice this before? Relationships developed rapidly. One day Marina realized that the child was waiting. By such a serious step, she was not ready yet. She thought that Sergei was too. Marina was very worried about Sergei's reaction. How will he react to this news? He gets scared, gets angry, runs away. At that time, the girl was more concerned not to have a chance to be left alone with her mother, but to risk being disappointed in her beloved man again. Marina understood that if Sergei betrayed her now, it would cause her such a trauma that she would hardly ever recover from. But Sergei didn't let it go. Of course, the news of his soon-to-be absence shook him slightly, but surprise and confusion quickly changed the joy. Marina watched as within a few moments one expression of the boy's face transformed into another. In Sergei's eyes, joy appeared. Sincere. Real. The girl understood everything even before he opened his mouth. "I'm just happy." He said it and hugged Marina tightly. She breathed out with relief. Of course, two students of the senior high school faced difficulties, which they did not even suspect. It turns out pregnancy is not so easy, and you can't earn much money without experience. Young wives had to combine studying and care for their children. Sergei also worked where he could. Both looked pale, thin, with dark circles under their eyes. But the main thing was that the spouses supported each other in everything. Sergei understood his wife from the bottom of his heart. He didn't even have to ask for anything. The young husband knew everything himself. Matvey appeared a little over a year after the birth of Irina. The care increased, but happiness also increased. Marina still remembered those days with nostalgia. She was impatiently waiting for the return from Sergei's work, who immediately took the babies. Meanwhile, Marina was preparing dinner, after which the four of them were definitely going for a walk. Marina was carrying a stroller with Matvey, and Sergei was carrying Irina. When the girl was tired, her father put her on his shoulders. So they slowly walked around the microdistrict. They talked about everything in the world and made plans for the future. Sometimes they stopped at playgrounds so that their sons and daughters could ride on swing. It was the best vacation and resupply for both parents. Their friends envied Marina, and they spoke about it very sincerely and openly. It is now that most fathers are involved in the life of their children, and then men prefer to spend time in the garage or fishing with friends. Children, cooking, house chores, all of this was considered purely female duties. And it doesn't matter that wives, just like husbands, worked all day at work. After the end of the working day, the woman was waiting for the second shift in the kitchen. Sergei never shared his domestic duties with both male and female. He could easily cook borscht, to wash the floor. He didn't even need to mention it. Marina couldn't believe that she had such a golden husband. Even her mother, who at first treated her like a son-in-law, saw this behavior of a man and fell in love with him. The talented and purposeful Sergei could not help but notice at work. His career went up. Car, then a mansion in a prestigious village, travel, expensive clothes, the most modern household appliances. They now had everything they could not imagine in their bravest dreams. And most importantly, they managed to carry through years' love and mutual understanding. Marina was sincerely proud of her entrepreneurial smart husband. He has been overdoing the classmates in intellectual development since childhood. Marina was even jealous of the classmates in school. How? How can he so easily figure out all these formulas, numbers, theorems? She should have done that. But for her algebra, physics, and other accurate sciences remained Chinese grammar. The teacher was of course being treated like a child by the four of them for their hard work and dedication, but Sergei is a completely different matter. Apparently, his abilities were obtained by the son and daughter. Both of them learned to read and count and graduated with gold medals. There were classmates who teased Sergei Botanic and laughed at him for his excellent grades, but the guy was not a chump. It was just that he was given a degree so easily. Marina understood this even then, being just a child. In general, Sergei's natural talent was applied. Now he was the head of the large department, which was in time for the campaign. He was respected, his opinion was considered. Without him, not a single important decision was made. For Marina herself, in terms of career, everything was much more modest. At first, she couldn't pay enough attention to her work. She was busy with Arena and Matvey, and she was doing a couple of lessons a day, preparing for the exams. When the children grew up, Marina finally went to school for the full day. As a teacher of primary school, the woman felt at home. She was happy and easy to work with children of this age. She was able to interest the children and explain to them even the most difficult subjects. Soon Marina gained a reputation of a good teacher. Now people tried to enroll their children into her class, even in a queue. It was very pleasant to receive such an assessment for their work. Marina thought many times about how her fate would have turned out if they had not met Sergei in the theater. Now she was even afraid to imagine such a life scenario. However, recently, the relationship with Sergei was no longer as warm as before. The husband no longer looked at her with delighted eyes, did not admire her smile or walk, even sometimes did not notice changes in her appearance, new hairstyle, or dress. But is this normal? After years of marriage, there can be no other way. The woman got up from the couch, left her bag in the hallway. Hi. A cheerful voice of Vera said hello. It was Marina's colleague. Hello. Do you know why I'm calling? I wanted to ask you, did you buy an apartment in Vishnevaya Kvartal? What? Marina was surprised. No, we're not going to. Then it turns out that some relatives live there. No, what strange questions. Then I don't understand anything at all. Vera was confused. I just see your husband's car almost every day. The one parked next door. I wanted to know if we were going to live next door, or what. Sergei, maybe it's something to do with his job? Someone from his colleagues lives there. Marina found an explanation that would definitely suit her friend. But the woman herself doubted that it was about work. The phone rang in the rest of Marina's soul. She had just enjoyed the comfort and silence of the house, planning to spend the evening watching her favorite TV series. But now the questions she had never answered were pressing in her head. It's easiest to wait for Sergei and ask him directly what he does almost every day in the cherry blossom quarter, and even in the evening. His wife often comes home late. Marina always understood and supported him. She didn't overdo it and didn't demand attention. Work is work. She knows it very well from her own experience. She also sometimes has to stay in school until late. Some inner feeling told Marina that it's better to find out everything by yourself without asking Sergei. She knows very well the house where Vera lives. The friend said that her husband was parking his car somewhere nearby. He would drive there and see for himself what was going on. Marina didn't put the case in a long box. The next evening after work, she went to Vera's house. A woman parked herself behind a separate garage so that she could see the house that Vera often came to see, and that she would remain unnoticed. It was about 5 in the evening. The sun was already setting by sunset, painting everything around in a beautiful golden-orange light. Soon the yard was filled with people returning from work. They came to the parking lot in cars. Marina was looking at them with special attention. It took about 2 hours. The woman wanted to leave. Perhaps Sergei is not going here today. Or Vera was just mistaken, confused. Marina was very hopeful that her colleague had recognized her. But then the noise of the motor and the rustle of the tires was heard again. The woman turned around and died. A new SUV, Sergei, slowly left the arch. Marina's heart beat fast. A sticky cold sweat appeared on her back. Through the windshield, she saw her husband. He looked happy and relaxed. And next to the passenger seat, a young beautiful girl was sitting in a very private position. Marina was still hoping that her husband had just brought her colleague home. But when they left the car, the woman realized that it was pointless to lie to herself. Sergei gently hugged the companion behind the waist. She hugged him. It was a very natural, familiar gesture for this girl. Sergei was smiling and talking to the young beauty. Apparently, he was joking, because she reacted with a laugh. So, in a hug, the couple headed to the entrance. Already at the door, while the girl was looking for the key to the microphone in her bag, Sergei pulled her to himself and kissed her. The Sputnik shyly pushed the man away. Something was annoying. Apparently, she asked to behave more humbly in front of people. But Sergei was absolutely indifferent to the opinion of others. Marina hadn't seen him so carefree and cheerful for a long time. The couple hid in the entrance. There were no doubts. Marina had just seen her husband's lover. There was no other explanation that could be thought of in front of her. Tears of resentment came to her eyes. How could he, after everything they both did for their families, after all the difficulties they went through together? Sergei knew how hard Marina, many years ago, was carrying Robert's betrayal. Sergei pulled her out of a difficult state, made her believe in men again, brought back the joy of life. He loved her. Marina didn't even doubt that. Over time, feelings have become dull, they have become habitual, even routine. Probably, Sergei missed it and decided to vent his anger. But how is she? Does Sergei really not feel guilty at all? At least his behavior has not changed. Marina did not suspect anything. He has not been complimenting her for a long time, did not give her delighted looks. They were only around the children. But sometimes they also discussed some stories with each other from work. Nevertheless, Marina did not doubt that their feelings were still strong. The woman considered her husband to be the closest person to her, reliable as a rock. And now this. How painful, offensive, disgusting. Probably, it's all about her. She was over-suffocating lately. She stopped following her own steps. She was too busy with work. She was constantly bothering her husband with boring school talks. She turned into a slut. She was busy. Men love eyes. How many times did she hear this phrase? But she thought that it had nothing to do with their relationship. They have real feelings, a family of souls and so on. It's her own fault. Naive, lazy, stupid. Stop. Marina, in the literal sense, took herself in her arms. She hugged herself tightly behind her shoulders. These are harmful, wrong thoughts. She's not to blame for anything. Stop screwing yourself. She was betrayed. She was cheated. This husband behaved like a traitor. What's her fault? Marina felt like despair. She's changing her anger. Excellent. It's much better than self-sacrifice and search for your own shortcomings. Anger gives strength, makes you act. Marina won't stay with Sergei. Of course, it will be hard to break up the relationship that lasted so many years. But the woman will still do it. She will definitely do it. She won't be able to forgive Sergei. And how can he trust what happened after all? To look at her husband. This way she will quickly lead to a nervous breakdown. It's better to break up, to leave. But to leave is beautiful. Marina realized that she wanted to take revenge on her unfaithful husband, and even went online to find an idea there. The woman was amazed by the fantasy of loyal wives. Someone spoiled her favorite things to unfaithful husbands. Someone made videos of scenes of a couple, and then poured it into the chat to her friends and relatives. Marina was even distracted for a short time from her sad thoughts, so much so that she was captured by these stories. But none of the ways fit the woman. Too small, too ugly. The woman wanted something more global. She would still use it for herself. From the depths of memory, a similar phrase came up. People's wisdom. We need to rest, think it over, and then decide. Marina started the engine and went home. Sergei came after PM. As always, he said hello to his wife with a smile. He refused dinner, said he was at a business meeting in a restaurant, so he wasn't hungry. At a business meeting, they probably ordered food for the nose with this beauty. Marina felt that it was boiling a little bit more, and she would tell her husband everything. A woman has always been direct. To hide and hide is not her character, but you have to be patient. Marina has not yet figured out how to revenge her husband, so he still does not know that she is aware. Therefore, the woman politely smiled and hinted that her husband had so much work. It was difficult at first. Then Marina got used to it. They say that a person is adapted to everything. That's right. The woman decided to find out more about her husband's relationships. With this goal, she did not spare any money for a private detective. The professional worked perfectly. Very soon, Marina had red-tongued photos in her hands. And more reliable information, of course. It turned out that Sergei's lover's name is Elena. She started working for him about 2 years ago, right after graduation. She was very young. She was working as a waitress. Sergei valued his reputation. But a man outside the office had a great time with a young beauty. It turned out that they were on vacation together. And not just once. Sergei was also there almost every day. Appears in the girl's rented apartment. It's good that the attentive friend noticed the car of Sergei parked at the parking lot. If not for this, Marina would still be in a happy ignorance. In the pictures, the unfaithful husband looked in love and happy. Elena. She most likely valued the relationship with Sergei as a job, for which she received quite expensive gifts. The detective gave Marina a copy of the checks from the jewelry salons and beauty centers, and he was always showing off his selection with premiums and extra money for the salary. He was never greedy, but how can he get revenge? Can he send these photos to the company's director? Or even make a slideshow on the vestibule wall, so that all the employees of the office see it? The woman imagined how shameful and painful her husband would be. And this Elena, for sure, too. A happy smile played on her face. The projector can be borrowed from school. The plan was just wonderful. But Marina thought it was very similar to one of those stories from the internet. Too dirty, too mean, too small. After that, Sergei will have the right to be offended. And then children will definitely learn about this story. How they will react to the mother's actions. Marina was a little bit tired of this idea. She presented the reaction of Sergei's colleague, thoughtfully saw his confused face, enjoyed the fright of Elena, and refused the plan. No, she needs something more elegant. And the decision was made. One morning, during the meeting at work, Marina was struck by an unpleasant thought. They will get divorced. The house will surely be left to Sergei. He loves this mansion very much. And of course, he will pay his wife her legal share. And he will live here. And his wife will bring Elena here. Even if it's not her, it's definitely another woman. Such successful, wealthy men like her husband will not be alone for long. And another woman will walk in these rooms. But this Marina planned everything here, from the location of the rooms and windows to the color of the curtains. And she put so much of her soul into the arrangement of the mansion, it was hard for her to imagine that a new mistress would settle here. One thought about this caused pain, and Marina decided she will take the house, solving two problems at once. First, she will leave behind her own cozy nest. Secondly, she will take revenge on Sergei. After all, he also has a soul in the mansion. He has said more than once that he feels calm and relaxed here, as if nowhere. So, the idea is there. It remains to decide how to turn this case around. The house is divided into joint property. According to the law, when a marriage is broken up, he must share with his spouses in equal distances. Marina was not bothered by the moral side of the plan, only the legal one. Sergei will not stay on the street. While she was putting all her strength and time into the children, her husband was climbing the career ladder. He worked a lot, became a successful and wealthy person. He has his own separate accounts. Not one apartment is enough. Marina thought a lot about how to reform the mansion. The decision came to her not once in the morning, but immediately after waking up. She will sell the house to Oksana, her cousin. The signature of Sergei for the purchase-sale contract will be difficult to get, but she will manage. And then, when the marriage is over, they will not have to share anything, because the house will belong to Oksana. And then the sister will re-sign him to Marina. Perfect. In Oksana, Marina was percent sure. In childhood, the two born sisters almost didn't communicate. They played together sometimes during the family holidays. Oksana considered Marina modest and a little girl. In her turn, Marina was considered a limited-time cousin, obsessed with cosmetics, boys, and dates. The sisters suddenly became friends. It turned out that there was a lot in common between them. Now Marina and Oksana often stayed with each other at night. They trusted each other with all the secrets. It was Marina who was the first in the family to find out that Oksana was expecting a child from her boyfriend. They were only years old at the time. Marina supported her sister. She helped her with the injections of her parents, who, of course, they were not excited about this news. As a result, Oksana was married to a boy who, just like his fiancé, was not ready for marriage at all. Parents on both sides left and bought a new apartment for the young and decided that everything was fine. Children in a legal marriage, at home. Soon they will have a child. It's a bit early, of course, but nothing happens. It seems that people are not ashamed of it. All honor is in the name of honor. Oksana had a son, then another one. After a while, a daughter appeared in the young family. Marina helped her sister to babysit the babies. She herself then just met with Robert and thought that someday she would have the same big and strong family. But Oksana didn't look happy at all. Children are happiness, of course, but my husband doesn't let me do anything. He's resting with his friends, and I'm here alone, in four walls, fighting with the kids. Talk to him. Marina was outraged. It's not fair. Talk to him. Oksana smiled. You think I didn't tell you? What about him? He's here. Oksana took her hand off the t-shirt and demonstrated to the amazed Marina bruises on her shoulders. Does he beat you? No, he doesn't. He just pushes. It hurts. And yells like a crazy person, shouting that I spoiled his life with my pregnancy and I have the nerve to take my brain out. Does he think that your children appeared without his participation? I don't know what he thinks there, but I'm already afraid of him. Marina talked to her parents that same evening. Oksana needs to be saved. Her husband is insulting her. Daughter, don't get into someone else's family. Dad was shaking his head. They will figure it out themselves. Where is she with 3 children? Mom added. It's okay. They will get used to each other. Just young while hot. Marina did not stop at this. She went to the parents of Oksana. They will probably protect her daughter, will not let her be offended. But mom and dad of her cousin answered her about the same as her own parents. Nobody was going to help Oksana. Help was waiting for her everywhere. Oh, come on. The cousin waved her hand when Marina told her about her attempts to reach out to the adults. My mother is right. Everyone lives like that. He doesn't drink, earns money, will live somehow. Some time passed. Marina was already married to Sergei at that moment and brought up her own children. Oksana called her in the middle of the night. He almost sent me to the other world. The young woman cried in the phone. I barely ran away. I managed to take the children. I'm so scared. We can't go to the parents. They will look for us there first. I just have no one else to turn to. Of course, Marina helped her sister. For some time, Oksana and the children lived in their apartment with Sergey. The husband was on a long-term business trip. It turned out that Oksana's husband had long since let go of her hands. But the woman tried to convince herself that this was normal. She thought that she was to blame for everything because she had nowhere to go. She didn't have to wait for support from her parents. They answered all of her daughter's complaints that it was all nonsense, that she would endure and fall in love. They were tempted by the idea that Oksana would become a divorced woman with 3 children. What will the neighbors say? Marina helped Oksana find a rented apartment and a new job. She gave money for the first time. She had her own savings, a safety pillow for the decree period. She supported her morally. She convinced her sister that she was not guilty of anything. It's her, the victim. It's her husband who deserves punishment. By the way, Marina and Oksana, they filed a complaint. As a result, the men were sentenced to pay their spouses a decent amount of compensation for moral and physical harm. This money turned out to be not too much for Oksana. Thanks to Marina's support, Oksana became an independent woman, learned to respect herself and earn. A little later, she met a worthy man who loved her and 3 of her children. Oksana said many times that if it wasn't for Marina, she would have simply disappeared. I was in despair. I didn't know what to do. I owe you. Those events really got closer, sister. Marina had no doubt. Oksana would happily help to turn her plan around. If anyone can be trusted, then only her. I would never have thought that your Sergina was capable of this. When Marina told her the latest news of her family life, the women lined up at their favorite pizzeria. After the conversation, Marina's sister felt relieved. How useful it is to talk to a close person. I didn't expect it myself, but I saw everything with my own eyes. And I have photos that leave no doubt. And I like your plan. I praise Oksana. I will gladly help you to knock this traitor on his nose. Great. Then I will transfer all my savings to you, which you will allegedly buy from my house. But the money is certainly not enough there. The mansion is much more expensive. The deal must look promising, so as not to cause suspicion. I also have money. Let's add the amount, and it should be enough. Great. Thank you, sister. Marina was preparing documents. She went to the realtor herself. The most difficult thing was to lie to a person in the face. Marina explained that her husband is a very busy person, and that's why she is the one who sells the mansion. At the same time, she was running from the cold sweat on her back. And what if the realtor finds out everything? She never knew how to lie. She was often told this. But the specialist didn't suspect anything. Perhaps his role was a solid reward for his work. He just prepared a package of documents for the second owner of the mansion, which he had to sign. Marina looked at the paper folder. The contract of the purchase and sale. The name of the document is written in large, fat letters. How on earth? How to make Sergey sign the contract? He got used to getting to know everyone closely. That he signs, otherwise he would not have achieved such career heights. That same evening, life itself gave Marina a wonderful opportunity. It seems that fate blessed her. Sergey returned home late, drunk and very cheerful. Marina caught the scent of female spirits, poorly penetrating through the perfume of her husband. So he was with her again. It seems that the couple had a good time. Look at the husband. He's happy. Marina understood that she should use the husband's kind-heartedness, and also in this state, now or never. Hello, dear, said Sergey, speaking in a tongue twister. I'm sorry, I drank a little today. We made a successful deal with the colleagues. Hello. Marina smiled. He just lied to her that he was with his colleagues. But the woman didn't care anymore. I have a request for you. Will you be my teacher on credit? Credit? Sergey Blashiny smiled. His eyes were blurry. He clearly misinterpreted. Great. That's what Marina needs. Yes, credit. I want to open my business. School center for children's training. So I'll give you money. The man shook his shoulders and fell on the couch. Just a moment, and he fell asleep. We need to hurry. But I want to do it myself. You know? I want to do it myself. How do you want to achieve something on your own? How do I? Sergei smiled again. It was clear that his wife's words were in his favor. That's good. Well done. You'll do it. Marina put a contract and a pen in his husband's hand. He tried to concentrate on the text. The woman giggled and pretended to have tripped and fell. Did she drink too? Sergei laughed loudly at his own joke and put the signature without looking. The job is done. Usually, a man was more attentive to documents, but he clearly did not expect a trick from Marina. At home, Sergei felt safe. The woman played the amount of drinks that her husband had taken the day before. Everything went as planned. The table had the contract of the sales contract signed by Sergei. Now, if the case goes to court, even the graphological examination is not scary. Marina was lying in bed and trying to fall asleep, but the emotions didn't let her relax. Under the pillow was the contract with the signature. The husband's slave arrived from the living room. Tomorrow, he won't even remember that he signed some documents. Marina knew her husband very well. He will get up with a headache. Ask her to give him a pill. The woman will behave as if nothing had happened. The moment of her triumph is not far away. The job is done. The spectacular scene can be arranged at least tomorrow, but Marina decided to wait. Soon they will have their wedding anniversary, her favorite celebration until recently. The best moment to finally clear everything up and finish the relationship, and you can't think of anything else. Sergei was returning home from Elena's. In the car's cabin, music was playing quietly. Something unbearably plexiglass and romantic. The man switched the radio station. The soul was restless. Elena arranged the scene again. I have so little attention, she cried, washing her hands. Beautiful. Even with tears in her eyes and hair in her hair, she looked gorgeous. That's why they were together until now. And why did the hysteria start? Again, jealousy is to blame. Recently, Alyona was more and more jealous of Sergei for his wife. It seems that their relationship is getting too serious. We need to do something about it. A novel that doesn't have to do with anything has become something that is too much and threatening to marry. Sergei wasn't going to marry Marina. Why? He was satisfied with everything. A wonderful wife, who was not ashamed to appear in any society. A house full of money, 2 successful children. Elena was just an entertainment. He was grateful to the girl for that she gives him the opportunity to feel young, strong, and almost omnipotent. And by the way, he didn't buy a gift. He already spent a whole fortune on jewelry for the girl. And that's not enough. So today, such a good evening happened. After work, they went to a restaurant where they had a delicious dinner. Then they went to Elena. Everything was just great, and told her that he would leave the city in a week. Of course, Elena was interested in the reason. The man answered, as if in spirit, he didn't think about what it would lead to. It would be better to lie about the business trip. Sergei prepared a surprise for Marina for the anniversary of the wedding. He booked tickets to her favorite resort. He wanted to make his wife happy. No, and he was offended by his guilt for what he does. Sergei planned a perfect trip. Marina and them were waiting for a luxurious hotel room on the coast for an interesting excursion. The spouses had to get divorced long ago. Otherwise, they would be missing in this school for days. Then they would go home, sometimes carrying notebooks, checking until nightfall. He had long suggested that she leave her job, but she didn't. A resort? Elena looked at him with wide-open eyes, which quickly filled with tears. And me? And what about me? You know that I have a birthday on these days. I'll transfer the money to you. Celebrate it with friends. I hurried to make Sergei believe, already realizing what I said was unnecessary. You're taking a bath again? Elena's beautiful face turned red from anger. What a pleasure to spend a whole week at the sea with this slug. I would give her a ring or earrings, and that's it. I need more attention. I'm bored of being alone. Listen, don't forget, Marina is still my wife. And I'm just a lover. You know how many men would dream of being next to me. Sergei understood perfectly well that Elena was right. The beautiful girl really instilled in herself the views of others. And she used it. She didn't miss the chance to remind Sergei that it's easy to lose her. How strange. The man didn't want this. He knew that when Elena was coming, another young beauty would appear. And he didn't plan anything serious with this girl, but some instinct was involved. The feeling of the owner, probably. And every time at such moments, he tried to keep Elena, fulfilling all her requirements. But not now. Elena, we are going on vacation with my wife. I understand that you don't like it, but you'll have to accept it. How I hate her. The girl was angry. And you too. However, a moment later, Elena was already holding on to Sergei, who was heading to the door, with kisses. I'm sorry, I don't think so. Just don't go away. I love you so much. Elena didn't want to let go of her generous and influential fan. Sergei understood her motives. For him, they didn't matter much. After all, the man and the girl made up. Both of them felt so good, each for his own reason. And now Sergei was going home, thinking about the scene that had just started. It's probably time to end these relationships. They won't lead to anything good. Of course, he's attracted to Elena as a beautiful young girl, but somehow she's been a lot of hysterics lately. For all the years of family life, Marina never really brought his mind out. Constant scandals, jealousy, scenes, hysterics. You certainly won't get bored with such a lady, but these emotional storms are too much for you and tires you out. It's good that there's a house, a quiet garden, where it's always calm, cozy, and safe. There was some special, peaceful atmosphere in the walls of the mansion. Sergei loved this place with all his heart. He always liked to come back here. This is his place of strength, where you can relax from all the life and work unruly and eat energy. The light is on in the windows. Marina is probably sitting on the couch and watching her favorite series or checking the notebooks. A delicious dinner awaits him on the stove. Since the restaurant was visited, enough time has passed, and Sergei has managed to get hungry. And Marina cooks so deliciously. Not that Elena is not in the mood. The girl even burned a simple egg. Sergei actually taught her how to fry potatoes and cook a simple soup. But he didn't succeed. Either the teacher is Sergei, or Elena is an amazingly talented student. Hello, how are you? Marina tore her head off the notebooks. The lights on the desk lamp marked all her first wrinkles. When did they get so old? Near her, Sergei realized that he was not young, so he was dragged by Elena. Everything was fine. He was late for work. I see. Marina answered and returned to work. Sergei thought that a smile was flashing in her eyes when he said that he had been in the office. No, it can't be. Marina completely trusts him. If she had suspected something, she would have said it. She is a direct and sincere person. As an open book. They haven't been talking much lately. Before, his wife was constantly making fun of him about school and children. Sergei didn't know where to start with these conversations. And now it's quiet. But it's okay. I guess I'm just tired. I've earned it. His surprise for the anniversary of the wedding, the trip to the sea, will go in both of them to good use. And now the long-awaited day has come. Years together. A solid period. But their marriage will not last until the silver wedding. Because, fortunately, the surprise of Marina prepared for a significant date was already a statement for the divorce. Not today, tomorrow, the court will give Sergei a notice. Marina did not go to work that day. She asked the director, telling the patient that she had a lot of work to do. You have to prepare for the evening, because the woman waited for this moment for so long. Finally, It will be unnecessary to pretend to be a good wife and to endure this traitor. Finally, Sergei will understand that she is not a fool and not a simpleton and will get what he deserves. Marina's mood was high. She took out 2 big bags of Sergei from the wardrobe and started to put them in them methodically. His things. She had packed one bag with clothes and shoes and put the records, books, and documents of her husband in another bag. Of course, some of Sergei's things were still in the house, but Marina collected all the necessary things. The rest was later, not all at once. The woman, who had become unopened suitcases, brought them to the living room. She decorated them with a wide, pre-bought blue satin ribbon. On top of the top, she folded the photos taken by the detective. She printed them in enlarged format so that the images would immediately catch the eye. It turned out exactly as Marina wanted. Effective, beautiful, even stylish. The woman took a photo for Oksana. She was very much asking her about it. Sister immediately sent a message with a bunch of smileys. This is how she expressed her approval. The support of a close person was important to Marina now, as ever. Marina didn't have any thoughts about whether she was doing the right thing or not. She was mentally prepared for her husband to start accusing her. Of course, the best defense is the attack. But Marina won't let herself forget for a second that Sergei betrayed her. The time was rapidly approaching evening. Sergei will be back home soon. Today he definitely won't be late. After all, it's the anniversary of the wedding. Moreover, the husband in the morning himself hinted that in the evening he would expect some kind of a grand surprise. He would know what kind of gift he would expect himself. Marina cooked for dinner Sergei's favorite dishes. Greek salad, chicken with potatoes in the oven. The husband has repeatedly said that he likes her cooking much more than the restaurant's exquisite treats. Well, let her sleep, and then she will tell him about her surprise. The woman went to the bedroom. Sergei will come in a minute. We need to get ready. Marina put on a dress that emphasizes the advantages of her figure and hides the flaws. Yes, now she has flaws. She is no longer the same little plant as she was in her youth. But this is not a reason to start a mistress. Marina did a light makeup, fixed her hair, and, judging by her appearance, looked at herself in the mirror. She was satisfied. A beautiful woman of middle age. The key was turned in the lock. This is Sergei. Marina, with a gentle smile, went out to meet her husband. You look great. Sergei was sincerely amazed. In his hands he held a luxurious bouquet of white roses, Marina's favorite flowers. Thank you. The woman smiled. We smell so good, the man noticed. The kitchen smells of divine aromas. I've already laid the table. Come in. My husband and wife had dinner. Sergei said a few things about how he was lucky with his wife. Marina was much more reserved. Singing a defaram to a traitor was above her ability. Something's wrong with you. Sergei was worried and informed. You're so strange, so silent. Everything is fine. I'm just tired. Marina sighed. You should stop this work, this nervous work, said the man. I've been telling you about it for a long time. Who would have thought that in our family the main laborer is you? You are constantly in the office. You are constantly on business trips. Marina was happy to note that her words were embarrassing to her husband. Most of the business trips were a mask of a trip to the resort. Well, there's nothing to say about the evening delays. Marish, I have a surprise for you. Suddenly, Sergei smiled. I think you'll be delighted. Really? I'm so curious what it is, but may I be the first? I have a gift for you too. Very nice. He's in the living room. Go and see. Sergei went to the next room. The door was closed so that the husband did not see the surprise earlier. But now the right moment has come. Marina followed Sergei. She really wanted to see his face expression when he would understand what was going on. What's going on? Sergei was looking at the collected suitcases in confusion. They had photos of him. Someone had taken pictures of him and Elena. How is that possible? You understand perfectly well what's going on. Marina sighed. What I learned about your betrayal is happening, and I don't want to be with you under the same roof anymore. I've packed your things. Get ready and leave my house. A woman has never seen her husband so confused. He didn't even pay attention to the phrase, my house. I don't know who and what told you, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I love you. I love our children. I'll do everything for you. Our relationship. This is the most valuable thing for me. Really? Marina was surprised and raised her eyebrows. I didn't notice anything. I know that you've been with her for a long time. I know about your business trip and work delays. What's wrong? I even saw you together. This is a mistake. All people make mistakes. You knew. You knew how painfully the betrayal of Robert hit me. And you did the same to me. Even worse. We were not married at least. I lost so much health back then. Did you not think about my feelings and what could happen to me when I started this novel? But it's your own fault. You're also to blame for all this. You weren't interested in my affairs at all, just talking about your school. I was still a child. I was too old. I stopped following myself. And I'm a man. I need love, attention, care. I had to get out of it. I expected you to try to blame me for everything. Marina sighed. I really hoped you'd be above that, but no. Go away. Okay? I can't stay with you under one roof anymore. And I've been patient for so long. Why should I leave my own house? Sergei got angry. You can't stay with me here. Go away yourself. And this is not your house anymore. It's mine. Or rather, not mine yet. But after we sign all the documents, it will be completely mine. What? And this is another part of my surprise. Marina stretched the folder with the documents to her shabby husband. It contained copies of the contract for the purchase and sale of the mansion and a statement of the divorce. How cleverly you have done it. I am almost amazed. Shook Sergei's head. The signature is definitely mine. Even the expertise is not needed. When did I sign it? When I came back, she was having fun with her lover. And you took advantage of it. I trusted you. I trusted you too. I thought you were the closest and most reliable person. It was very hard to find out that I was so wrong. Marina, let's forget it. Okay? Let's just get over it and live on. I can't. It's so easy for you. And then I suffer from thoughts. I don't know if I was going to have another lover on vacation. No, thank you. I'm going to court. Suddenly, Sergei said, you won't get my mansion. It's not fair. I earned it. I will prove that I signed the document being in fact not capable. I will hire the best lawyers. I'll try, of course. I'll try to get Marina. You're unlikely to get anything, but you have the right to try. The truth is, what? Sergei asked. About the real reason for our separation. I have prepared a beautiful legend for them that we just decided to live separately. We became too different. It happens. And you have left your spouse's house. We will remain good, loving parents for our son and daughter, and we will behave like civilized people. If the trial begins, I assure you, all the dirt will come out. Irina and Matvey will learn about your novel. And not only them. Colleagues, friends, relatives, everyone knows about everything. And I have a photo as evidence. Do you need it? Instead of answering, Sergei grabbed the suitcases and silently left the house.